The Profit Constructors presents Coffee and Construction Hats with Colleagues. Our host, Tanya Schulte, welcomes you to join in the fun as she gets to know her podcast guests. Find out who will be on the upcoming show and some of their favorite things.
All right, welcome. I'm so excited to have Kelly Gonsalves with Totally SEO and Eric Perry with Eco Roofing Solutions with me today. We're talking about this whole concept of SEO, but before we dive in, I always like to just kind of chat with you guys and let's just talk and get to know each other. So Kelly, what is your favorite type of food? I always love this question. It's one of my favorite questions.
So I would have to say for like going out to eat, Greek food is my favorite. Definitely. Yeah. Like we're talking like genre, like type of food, right? Okay, yeah. I would say Greek. Greek is my go-to.
What's your favorite Greek dish?
So actually there's something called oh my God, why am I forgetting the name of it right now? I was gonna say obviously chicken souvlaki is like the go-to because that's easy, but there's a Greek, and I'm gonna look it up because now I need to know what the name of it is. There's a Greek like fried cheese that they do, and it's so delicious.
I think I need some of that in my life.
It's like this salty fried cheese, and they put lemon on it. It's so good. Saganaki. And I'm probably butchering that,
I've
but
never heard of it, but I'm gonna go try it. I know I love like Wisconsin fried cheese curds, so
there you go. So same concept, just with a Greek cheese.
Eric, what is your favorite type of food? Have you ever tried Saganaki?
I have not. No. I would say I'm a huge Mexican food fan, but I will always turn anything down for some sushi. So sushi is definitely my number one go-to. But if that's not available, or where that's not available, Mexican is my quick hard second.
Are you totally into like the sashimi too? Like,
yeah,
all the uncooked fish.
Yes, I am fortunate that they have things like tempura rolls and all the fried cooked stuff, because my wife is not into any of that. But she appeases me when I'm on a sushi kick, and she'll go so she can have all the cooked stuff, and I'm just everything else. So
I actually have some friends of ours that went to visit. We have a friend he's half Korean. He grew up in South Korea, and they went to South Korea to visit. And while they were there, they were doing all these live videos. And one of them was them eating someplace where they like put their chopsticks down, and the fresh octopus wrapped around their chopsticks made it quite easy for them to pick that octopus up. And yeah,
I don't like it that fresh.
No.
but yeah,
that's a little more adventurous than I think I would go. But yeah, I do like a lot of the sashimi and stuff too. That's awesome. What is your favorite travel destination, Eric?
Gosh, lately it seems to be Disneyland. Especially we went a couple of times without the kids, and to get to enjoy it a little bit more, I would say there. But otherwise, anything quiet, anything with a beach where I can hear the waves, or the forest where I can hear the wind in the trees is always my favorites.
Yeah, especially because we get like so caught up in the day-to-day, right? Just be able to like get away and have some quiet is unusual and so refreshing.
Absolutely.
How about you, Kelly?
Puerto Rico. So I guess probably following the same hearing the waves on a beach, nothing around kind of feeling. So I would say it's probably the place I've been the most, and it's my favorite to visit. We went when I was like 17, like my whole family, and I loved it. And so I've gone back a couple times just even on my own. And yeah, it's like my default. If I have time to take a vacation, that's where I would go. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
But I have to say Disney World is 40 minutes from my mom, so probably the place I've visited the second most, because she's down in Florida. So yeah, it's easy to get to.
Yeah, I have a cousin that lives down in Miami Beach, so she ends up at Disney World like every other weekend. I think they have season passes, and they're always at Disney World, which would be nice. I don't know. This particular question for me is actually probably the hardest to answer. My parents are truck drivers. I grew up in a truck, so I've been to like all the 48 states, contiguous states. I've not been to Alaska or Hawaii yet. And I once have gotten to travel. I've been to like parts of Mexico, parts of Canada. Last year, for the first time, I got to travel like overseas, which was nice. But I just want to go everywhere. Like there's no favorite, right? Like I just want to keep seeing new things. That's what I love, is just going to different places. So Kelly, how did you get started in your whole career? And then tell us a little bit about how you got Totally SEO going.
Your whole career. I'm like, okay.
I know, like SEO wasn't really
Oh
your.
no, it was like a segue, kind of like, yeah, it happened off of my first business. So I started Totally Booked, which is a bookkeeping firm, about 7 years ago. And I can't believe it's been 7 years. But yeah, 7 years ago. And off of that, I had to learn how to do marketing for myself, or at least I told myself that I had to learn how to do marketing for myself because it wasn't something I had a budget for. And so once I determined that I wanted to work with clients that were not just, let's say, referral based or in my, my immediate hometown, and I wanted to kind of branch out a little bit and also just change up my services a little bit and kind of get my name out there. I taught myself how to do SEO work. So I started by primarily by blogging. And so once I started that and I was having some success with it, establishing myself on Google and establishing my website, and it all kind of came together. It was during the pandemic. I was talking to a friend of mine, Melissa Mullet, who you may know. She used to work at VM and now she's at Corpay. She's a marketing specialist. And so she said, well, you kind of have like a system here, like a process. Why don't you like take that and help other people do the same thing? And I'm like, all right, well, that's not a bad idea. So that's kind of how Totally SEO started. It's just following the same method that I did, and kind of doing it on the cheap, right? So like not, I mean, I hate using the word cheap, but it's very inexpensive. It's an inexpensive way to do it. Because I didn't have a lot of money when I started out. And so I know that it's difficult to do marketing or pay for marketing and set up a system if you don't have a lot of money in place. So,
right.
Yeah.
And it's always hard to, you and I both coming from that accounting background, know that's one of the hardest things to calculate return on an investment for. Yeah. Marketing it can be so hard to figure out if you're really getting any type of return on what you're putting out there.
Yeah. And it's also something that it's an industry where they make a lot of promises, unfortunately, that aren't always able to be kept. And so there's a lot of misconceptions out there about, what success really is and what it looks like and if you're doing it right and, that whole thing. So it can be really difficult to determine. And I think it's partly that you have to determine for yourself, what success is, right? So is it more leads coming in? Is it just more people coming to your site? Is it someone knowing your name, just your company name or what you do,
I want to save some of this because let's get into more of this. But all right, tell us about your career path. How did you end up starting your own roofing business?
So I've been doing it. I'm a third generation roofer. I've been in the industry working in every aspect of roofing for almost 25 years. Last month, I think it was 25 years. So I started as a laborer. I was making, I think, $8 an hour driving around, putting roofs on for about 13 years, and went from there to work a little bit in the office, start divisions, and eventually went on to start my own company. So it was a decision that I made, just being in the family. My dad did have his own company. He retired prior to my, I guess, being old enough to take it over, or at least know enough to take it over years ago. And so I started Eco Roofing primarily because of all the products that are out there or that have been out there that don't, your average consumer in Arizona aren't really educated about as far as what they can do for your home and as far as saving you money in the long run and that sort of thing. And so I figured I talk about it all day anyway, so I may as well be in a position where I have authority to say, hey, this is what we use and this is what we do, kind of thing. So that's kind of why I started it, as well as obviously provide, for my family better. So
awesome. I love that.
Thank you for joining in the fun. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please email hello@theprofitconstructors.com. We'll see you in the next episode of the Construction Junction.